Hey everyone, it's Greg, and I have a series business model tier list that you are about to watch. So I ranked all the business models that Empire Flipper sells, and I decided, hey, well, which one is the best one to buy, best one to sell, what are the pros and cons? And the video became quite long. So in this series, you'll see basically this same intro and a similar outro for the next few videos, but each one of the videos are actually different because I just start exploring all the different pros and cons, and you know me, I'm pretty long-winded. So I hope you enjoyed the series. I hope it gives you some food for thought. I get asked the question all the time, every guru favorite that drives a Lamborghini? Info products. Now, info products, I also include digital products into this, so like quilt patterns or whatever that you see on Etsy, but also make money online courses, right? Those are info products. There's also info products that are way less scammy, teaching you like how to build a shed, stuff like that. So info products are really cool business. You basically build a product, you run ads or some other traffic source to it. Whatever your revenue is minus your ad cost is basically your profit, because info products have almost no overhead. The cost to deliver one product is the same as the cost of delivering like 10,000. Now, that is not totally true. There's a little bit of an increment in cost, but not really anything noticeable. It's basically free. So info products are fantastic. Are they newbie friendly? I think that depends. If you are looking to buy a business that is an info product business that is, say, teaching people how to get a certain engineering certification, and you have no clue about engineering, that is a problem, right? That could be a problem. If the info product is also personality driven, so say there's some charismatic engineer that's teaching people how to get that certification, he's the owner of the business selling it, also a problem. Now, these are not insurmountable problems. Like, as a newbie buyer, I would look to keep that seller onto the business and create a 6-month roadmap where you're replacing that person with another person, and ideally more than one person, so there's multiple faces to the brand rather than just one. One of my buddies, he said it to me nicely when he's talking about buying info products and podcasts, because I was asking him about this founder risk, and he said, well, consider it like the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. A lot of people who are younger now don't even know who Jay Leno is, and before Jay Leno there was other people. Then Conan O'Brien came a little bit after Jay Leno, and there was multiple people before Jay. So it was always the Tonight Show. The width is the part that changes, and people get used to it. But there is a transition period. You gotta test it out, and it doesn't always go well. But if you're just conscious about how you're going to transition this and make a good plan, it's not the end of the world. So in terms of that, it's not newbie friendly in terms of taking over the product in that sense. Now, when it comes to actually running the business, it's very newbie friendly. You have a landing page, usually maybe a couple upsells, you have a payment processor. It's a little bit less newbie friendly than, say, YouTube channels and affiliate sites, but in the grand scheme of things, by not that much, not terribly much. There's way less moving parts than, say, an agency for sure. So let's talk about profit opportunity. Profit is fantastic in this niche. You are often going to be seeing profit margins between 40 to sometimes 70%. It can be crazy high, especially once you dial on prices and ads. The profit opportunity is massive. And then you also have upsells. You have the ability to create more digital products across that spectrum and really go deep into an industry. So the profit opportunity is pretty good. Now, one ding that info products do get is an info product business typically is not going to reach a crazy amount of money in terms of 8 figures above, but the ceiling on info products, it's a soft ceiling because people can definitely crash through it. But for the most part, info products are going to be a little bit soft capped at beneath 8 figures. So you can have a high 7-figure business that's an info product business, but it's going to be extremely rare and pretty difficult to turn that into an 8-figure business with just those info products alone. So if you're looking for a lifestyle business that it can change your life pretty dramatically, if you're good with money, good with marketing, all that kind of stuff, info products are fantastic. Now, if you're looking to become like an empire builder where you got a massive brand, info products maybe not serve you the best when it comes to that. And that's the scalability side of that. Well, one of the things I will say about scalability and profit opportunity, and this is true with marketing agencies, but I forgot to mention it, but is the ability to be holistic with your marketing. So YouTube and affiliate sites, they're stuck on Google and YouTube. Now, if you're running your own info products, there's nothing stopping you from doing SEO about your info products, but do YouTube videos about your product. There's nothing stopping you doing Pinterest, there's Facebook ads, TikTok ads, basically the whole suite of marketing that exists opens up to you, which makes this business much, much more valuable in my view. When it comes to valuations though, because of the issues I talked about at the beginning of this section, info products could get a lower valuation. You're really looking at that 2 to 4x multiple. Maybe it can go a little bit above 4x of that EBITDA, but it's going to be very, very rare. So with all that said, because of all the other stuff on this list, I actually think info products are an A, because even though the valuations aren't the best and you can't scale it above 8 figures, most people aren't thinking about that. Most people are thinking about, how can I change my financial future now? I think info products are probably one of the simplest ways to do that, whether you're starting one or buying one, because the profit margins are just so juicy if you get it right with your marketing funnel. And I think this also provides the entrepreneur buying the info product a lot of extremely useful skills. So you're going to be learning landing page design, copywriting, VSLs. You're going to be doing customer support. Basically, in a lot of ways, you're going to be doing e-commerce stuff with no inventory costs, which is a fantastic, huge advantage, right? So I think info products go into A for all the other stuff, despite issues with scaling above 7-figure or scaling above 8 figures. So that's info products. Good old Amazon FBA. So we have sold an absolute metric ton of Amazon FBA businesses at Empire Flippers, so I know quite a bit about it. And there's a lot of issues going on with it. So is it newbie friendly? I think it used to be. I don't think it is anymore. With all the aggregators that came in and all the technology that's now available, all the competition from, say, actual Chinese manufacturers selling direct on Amazon now, I think this is a very tough business model if you're brand new. I used to call it e-commerce on training wheels. Now I think it's kind of e-commerce, not on hard mode, but it's getting closer to that. So I wouldn't call this super newbie friendly anymore. Now, profit opportunity. This is also something that gets a ding on in my view. Profit opportunity, you are basically beholden to Amazon. So Amazon just announced new fees to all their customers, which I should have a video coming out soon if it's not already out. And there's basically nothing you can do. If you are an Amazon FBA entrepreneur and you're only on Amazon and good old Jeffy boy says, hey, your fees are exploding, you got to be like, okay, thanks, Jeff. There's nothing you can do. What are you going to do? Just close down your business and not pay the fees? Which, by the way, some people did, because the fees were so intense that now their margin just doesn't make it worth their while anymore. So that's an issue with Amazon FBA businesses for sure. And also, again, you are stuck to one tech giant, just like the YouTube and content site owners. You're stuck to a single tech giant, which in this case is Amazon. And with all the rising costs of inflation, all that kind of stuff, it has been getting harder and harder to make these businesses work. In terms of sustainability, I kind of just went over that. Same issue as YouTube and affiliate, though with more money writing on the table because you're actually buying the inventory, right? So sustainability is quite hard. Now, scalability, I have sold 8-figure Amazon FBA businesses on our marketplace. So you can scale these up quite good. So that is kind of a saving grace of these businesses, is that the traffic is just so good coming from Amazon. It is the #1 search engine when it comes to consumers who have the intent, I want to buy something right now. And that is magical. That is a crazy, a marketer's dream. And that's why this exploded so much over the last few years. It is basically a Google for customers. People want to spend money, right? So that is fantastic in that perspective, but it has become much more competitive, much harder. And because you're attached to that tech giant, you don't really have that much control. In fact, in some cases, it's worse, in my opinion, than content and YouTube sites, because not only do you not control what the tech giant is going to do, you don't get to control your customers, right? Amazon tries to hold you back away from having any of that customer information, which if you ever listen to me talk about business, having your customer information so you can contact them and understand what they want is one of the most valuable things you can do in business. So that's very unfortunate that Amazon did that. So with valuations, you're looking between 3 to 4x typically, sometimes a little bit underneath 3. Now we have definitely sold over 5x. We've sold, I think, close to 6x at our peak for Amazon FBA. But in the current market, the more realistic answer of what you're going to get for a valuation is 3 to 4x of your EBITDA. So we're going to put Amazon FBA in C tier, because though it has a lot of wounds going for it, the scalability kind of saves it, and there are people still buying this, but that is a tough one. KDP Publishing. So KDP Publishing is a business model on Amazon where you are basically running a publishing house. You have a bunch of ghostwriters writing a bunch of stuff. It could be romance, it could be nonfiction, it could be whatever, right? And you're just making money from the Kindle Unlimited program when people go and read these books. There's a voracious amount of readers. There's huge well readers out there, and that's where the real money is made. So you often see them in genres like romance, targeting women, because the romance genre is just an absolutely voracious voracious market. Like I'm a writer, as many of you guys know, and I like studying the business of fiction. Romance authors on average make the most money. They just do. And like they have all the simplicity of the story structure that they can just reuse over and over again. But anyways, when it comes to KDP as a business, is it newbie friendly? Absolutely. You're just publishing digital products onto Amazon. Basically, it's a digital product business at its heart, to just focus on the Kindle publishing program. So it's extremely newbie friendly. You have very few moving parts. You usually will have a stable of writers, outliners, editors, all that kind of stuff, just like you would with a content site. The way they are creating the content will be a bit different because it's not SEO, it's a story driven or a book driven format, right? But very few moving parts. So very newbie friendly bit type of business. Now, profit opportunity. I think the profit opportunity here isn't that fantastic. Like I have seen 7-figure KDP businesses, but they're more rare than affiliate sites in my view. You are very limited in what you can do, because if you tried to go build your own site selling these Kindle stories, I think you would have a much harder time. Not saying it can't be done. I know people who have done it. It's just very, very difficult. So profit opportunity is very low. Scalability, again, is a content business. You're scaling horizontally instead of vertically, which makes it very, very tough. So not great scalability in my view. Sustainability has the exact same issues as YouTube, Amazon, and affiliate sites, where you're basically glued to a tech giant. Now, KDP historically has not been as tyrannical or business destroying, I should say, as the tech giants have been to the other business models at certain periods of their history. But that doesn't mean it can't happen, right? It certainly can. And in the age of AI, all this stuff that's happening, it might be around the corner for all we know. Now, valuation. These businesses will usually sell between like 2 to 3.5x EBITDA. Your valuation is really capped because like you are only limited to KDP, right? Like if you're doing stuff off KDP, you're not a KDP business anymore, right? So if you're just limited to KDP, this is not fantastic in terms of your valuation, right? Because you are just beholden to this tech giant. So unfortunately, as much as it pains me to do, I'm putting KDP into the D tier. Now, you can buy one of these and they can be fantastic lifestyle cash flowing businesses that incrementally grow over time as you get more and more work out there. But in my view, this is just not the best business to buy if you're thinking like me, where you're like, how do I get to the next level with this business? Because there's not that many levels to the KDP business. Let's talk about freelancer real quick. So a freelancing business, very newbie friendly. You can literally just start freelancing. Like basically, I know how to design. I go on Upwork. I get design clients, or I know how to run Facebook ads. I get a Facebook ad client. Stuff like that. Freelancers, just solo, just you, no one else. So in terms of easy to start, it's very easy to start. Like you just need to get an Upwork account or sign up for a Fiverr account or whatever. There's a bunch of marketplaces out there, and you're basically done. That's your entire startup cost, unless you have some kind of technology for the certain skill you provide. Right? The real challenge is getting those first few clients. That can be really, really rough as a freelancer. Similar to a marketing agency, you have to kind of create that virtuous cycle going for you. There's great profit, at least initially, once you get it going, once you start getting that virtuous cycle going, because it's just you. Similar to the marketing agency, the profit model is fantastic. Like you will be getting like 30 to 60%, like not too dissimilar to info products in terms of your actual margin once you get these clients, especially if your service is kind of like a recurring kind of service where they need it every single month. But even then, say it's just like one-off designs. If you get a big roster of clients, like it can be a pretty decent lifestyle. I have friends in Saigon, Chiang Mai. That's all they do. They just do little tiny logos for businesses and really don't do much else. So this can be a fantastic model from that perspective. So scalability is extremely bad when it comes to being a freelancer. Sustainability is actually not that bad because similar to marketing agencies, you can kind of pivot, you can reskill yourself, so to speak, or go and sell to different markets kind of at a whim. Especially since it's just you, there's no one else you need to convince. Like you're the CEO of the ship, right? So from that perspective, sustainability, freelancing can be decent. So one of the cons of sustainability with this though is because your scalability is so low with being a freelancer, like you might be making say 80, 100 grand a year as a freelancer, and you get a few bad months with no clients or you start drying up, that income goes down to zero real quick. Versus like a marketing agency, which is kind of a similar parallel to a freelancer, they might have scaled up so dramatically over the period of years before that happened, where they were able to get, let's say, a war chest of $500,000 or a couple $1 million, which is going to allow them to respond to these kind of impacts a lot better than a freelancer can. So that is like one of the worst parts on the sustainability matrix here with a freelancer. But other than that, like, you are pretty flexible when it comes to what you get to do. Now, valuations, absolutely awful. If you weren't expecting that. So a freelancing business, you just cannot sell. You're a one-person business. You are the business. And because like you chose not to become an agency for some reason, which, you know, there are valid reasons not to do that, you have a business that's effectively worth $0. Maybe someone will buy your book of business for real cheap, but usually that's pretty rare, and I would usually recommend buyers not to do that because there's a lot of problems that can come with that. So with that said, freelancer is D. Newsletter. So newsletters have been all the rage for a while now, and I will say they're pretty cool. I think they're a cool business model. So newsletter basically is like the hustle, morning brew. Like, you subscribe to my newsletter, I'll be sending you weekly or daily updates about XYZ subject/topic, right? That's a newsletter in a nutshell. And they make money by usually having sponsorships in the newsletter or selling their own products and services. So a few different ways you can make money with them. But that's a newsletter business model in a nutshell. Some people charge money per issue, or like a monthly fee, like $10 a month for my newsletter about crypto, whatever, right? So that is the newsletter model. So is it newbie friendly? I would say yes, with some caveats. So if it's a curated newsletter where you're just curating other people's content for people to digest, it's much more newbie friendly. Now, if you're thought leadership kind of newsletter, it's pretty difficult, because if you're a thought leader, you can't exactly be like, you have to be a thought leader. You just have to be good at what you're talking about, right? Otherwise, like, why would anyone even listen to you? What's the point, right? And so newsletters can come in two flavors like that. Newbie friendly is the more curated one. Much harder to duplicate is the thought leadership one. In terms of profit opportunity, I think profit, it's a tough one with newsletters. I think it's pretty low, honestly. Like, I look at some of the marketplaces that sell newsletters, and like, we sell newsletters. Most of them do not make that much money for the amount of effort that put in. Like, we're talking about running crazy amount of, like, I've seen some P&Ls of people's newsletters where they're running tens of thousands of dollars in Facebook ads to get new subscribers. They're making like $1,000 a year, like, profit. Like, that is wild to me. So the game here really is the data of the user that's subscribing and being able to ascend them into other business models. The profit opportunity for newsletters is just really weak in my view. Like, you only have sponsorships or your own services basically, and you have no inherent like traffic funnel that's coming in, and the profit can be pretty dismal per subscriber. So like, newsletters, I think the profit opportunity is not that great, to be honest. When it comes to scalability, like, if you get the numbers in where you can get the profit, it can have some decent scale, but there's like, it's really hard. It's really hard to get the numbers in. And if you're a thought leadership newsletter, there's a good chance you'll never get to the scale, because similar to a freelancer, if you're the thought leader, it's really hard to delegate that out, right? And how are you going to get another thought leader to work for you to do it? Like, it's very difficult, right? So like, this is a big reason we don't see many big newsletters, even through all the hype that's going on with the creator economy, all this kind of stuff. Like, yes, you can make a profitable newsletter. It's just very hard, and it's very rare. So I'd say scalability is very low. Now, sustainability. This is an interesting one with newsletters. With sustainability, I think like, there is the idea that you own the email list, right? So you have these kind of customers, and I think that is huge for helping you sustain a bad time. Now, when it comes to newsletters, because the profit is so low to a subscriber, and if your main monetization was basically sponsorships, then I honestly don't think this is super sustainable. Like, I have a friend, he's very good at marketing, very smart dude. He does a mixture of like the curation and thought leadership. I won't mention his newsletter, but he's been running it for years, and it doesn't do that well. Like, it does decent, like, he's making decent money from it, but if he put that same amount of effort into something else, I think he would be making a lot more money with his skills, to be honest. And I think he just ran into this issue that a lot of marketers who want to start a business, they don't know what to sell, and so they go into kind of affiliate or newsletter or whatever, what's hot, rather than really sitting down and thinking about what could I create that people would really love. So sustainability, newsletters, get an okay pass because you own the email list, right? That's huge for sure. But because that email list is probably a lot of low valuable people, unless you set it up in a very specific way, it's not that great in terms of sustainability because it wasn't making that much money to begin with. In a lot of times, I'm not just throwing flack at this newsletter model to throw flack. Like if you go on marketplaces and look at the actual revenue or actual profit rather that a lot of these make, it's not that great. So what I would do when it comes to newsletters, like the only way I would really be interested in it is if I already had a business, I want to grow a newsletter on the side that feeds into that business, or I want to buy a newsletter that has the audience of the thing that I really want to sell. So similar to content and affiliate sites, I would try to go above the revenue model. So with valuations, like to be honest, a lot of newsletters just can't be sold because if you're a thought leadership, you basically have the same issue as the freelancer. Like you are the business, right? You can't sell that. If you're a curated newsletter, a lot of times you're not making that much money anyways. So the valuation is not going to be that high. So I'm putting newsletters into D. Lead generation. So lead generation is very similar to SEO, or to like marketing agencies and stuff like that. You're same kind of deal. You're a plumber. I'm a marketer. I'm going to get you leads. You're going to pay me per lead. That's the whole model. So it basically everything I just said about marketing agencies still holds true. I would put leads in terms of valuations. All of it holds true. It's just almost the exact same business model. The key difference is lead generators often they'll have like passive assets that are generating the leads, and this can cap your valuation. And now what I mean by that is, let's say you're a rank and renter SEO where you rank for Dallas plumber, and you own the website, you own the map pack, somehow you figured it out with all the stuff that's happening there. You're getting the leads in. Now this is great from a cash flow perspective, not great from a valuation perspective, because if you are already number one in the market for it, for SEO, for these terms, and then the lead website has kind of reached its natural cap. Now there's things you can do. You can run ads, you can do other things to like try to get more leads, but especially if you're local, if you're in a local market, the market only has so much demand at any given time for the service. So it's not like you can run Facebook ads and get a boatload of new clients. Like it could happen, but there's a natural cap, and most people end their journey looking for local services through SEO. So with rank and rent, your valuation is inherently capped, and the only person that really is ever interested in buying those businesses is going to be the actual business owner that benefits, like the plumber who buys your plumbing asset, because he can make that $2,000 a month that you're getting turn into like $40,000 a month for him, right? With plumbing contracts. Versus if you try to sell rank and rent or another lead gen business to another lead gen person, they're like, well, I already know how to do this, for one, and two, like there's no upside for me. Like, how do I grow this, right? It's already optimized out. So that's a big problem with lead businesses, and this happens not just in local space, but happens in national spaces too, with directories, with quiz funnels, like different assets that people have, and they're just kind of naturally capped out. Now, I'm not saying you can't sell them. Like if you are looking at the valuation of which one you can sell the easiest, is definitely the national lead generation stuff, right? Like if you let's say NerdWallet was a lead gen, which they kind of are in a lot of cases for the finance space. Like you can sell NerdWallet for sure, but there is some issues where you don't own all the moving pieces of this business in a kind of a similar fashion to an agency, but a little bit worse because you have actual assets in the space you're generating leads for that you don't control the back end, kind of similar to affiliate. So with all that said, I think a lead generation business can be great. I think it has some weak parts to it. I think valuations can be capped on them quite hard depending on the type of business and how you set up the lead gen business. But it's very similar to marketing agencies at the end of the day. With that said, I'm going to put it into C. I think if you're going to start a lead gen business, really what you should be focused on is just building a marketing agency that happens to have lead gen assets. That's the way I would play it. And they're a natural fit together. So that's what I would do there. All right, there you have it. Completed video of the tier list. I hope you enjoyed that. Subscribe, like, and leave a comment, and check out the next video in the series.